In order to understand the universe, you must explore the universe. And that's the motivation to accelerate humanity's future in understanding the universe and extending the light of consciousness to the stars.
Imagine it's 2035. Every phone on Earth has signal. Everywhere, always. No dead zones. You're video calling from the middle of the ocean. An AI agent is running your entire back office from a chip that costs $600. There's a city being built on the moon, and the company behind all of it is one company. Now here's the part that blew my mind when I started doing the math. NVIDIA is worth about $4.4 trillion right now. The most valuable company on Earth. Apple, 3.7, Google, 3.7, Microsoft, 3 trillion. The four most valuable companies in the world combined, that's roughly $15 trillion. The company I'm about to break down for you, the bull case says it could one day be worth more than all four of them combined. Today I'm going to stack every single business inside this company, one by one, project them forward 10 years, and show you what the future actually looks like and what it could be worth. Whether you care about the stock or you're just curious about where the world is heading, this one is for you. The company, if it wasn't obvious already, is SpaceX. The IPO is coming this summer. And again, remember, nothing in this video is financial advice. It's for educational purposes only. So guys, without further ado, let's get into it. I'm Kyle Chassé. You're watching the Chassé Report.
We want to be a civilization that expands to the galaxy with spaceships that anyone can go anywhere they want at any time. That would be epic. And have a city on the moon, cities on Mars, populate the solar system. That sounds like the best possible future.
Before we get into the wild stuff, we need to start with the thing that pays for everything else, Starlink. SpaceX has put over 9,000 satellites into low Earth orbit. That's 65% of every active satellite up there. And they use them to beam internet to anyone with a dish anywhere on the planet. As of February, Starlink crossed 10 million subscribers, and the growth is almost hard to believe. 2.3 million at the end of 2023. It doubled to 4.6 million by 2024, doubled again to over 9 million by 2025. 3 straight years of the number precisely doubling. Analysts project it could double again this year to over 18 million customers. But here's what those numbers actually look like in the real world. Right now, a kid in a fishing village in Indonesia is taking an online course that didn't exist to him 2 years ago. A cargo ship in the middle of the Pacific is running real-time logistics. A hospital in rural Kenya has telemedicine for the first time. Starlink is live in over 155 countries. And for billions of people, it's not a tech product. It's the first time they've had reliable internet at all. Now, stretch this forward. Starlink subscribers are doubling every year. Even if that growth rate slows, and it will, 50 to 100 million subscribers by 2035 is realistic. The satellite internet market is projected to pass $100 billion by then. And Starlink owns this market. At scale, we're talking $50 to $100 billion a year in revenue just from connecting the planet. That's just the dish business. Wait until you see what comes next. Okay, so this is the part that made me do a double take, because there's a version of Starlink that most people haven't heard of yet, and it changes everything about how you think about your phone. Here's the idea. You know those moments where you're driving through the mountains, or you're hiking, or you're in a rural area, like I am right now actually, and your phone just says, no service? Guys, that goes away forever for everyone on Earth. Starlink Mobile just rebranded at Mobile World Congress in Barcelona a few weeks ago. It connects your regular phone directly to satellites when there's no cell tower in range. Not a special phone, not a satellite phone like you see in the movies. The phone in your pocket right now. No new hardware, no app, It just works. They've already signed up carriers across the world: T-Mobile in the US, Deutsche Telekom in Europe, KDDI in Japan, Virgin Media O2 in the UK, and more. 12 million people are already using it. SpaceX says they're adding 52,000 new users every single day this year. That's a mid-sized city every single day. And what's live right now is just V1. It's text, light data, some apps. The next generation, V2 satellites launching mid-2027, promises real 5G speeds from space, 150 megabits per second. That's not just emergency texting. That's video calls and watching Netflix from the top of Everest. Think about what that means by 2035. More than half the world's landmass has zero cell coverage today. When Starlink Mobile is fully deployed, there's no place on Earth without a signal. A farmer in the Amazon has the same connectivity as someone in Manhattan. A rescue team in the Himalayas can stream live video to a hospital. Your kids never have the experience of being unreachable. And here's why the financial side of this is so interesting. Most analysts are burying Starlink Mobile inside the broadband number, but broadband sells dishes to buildings. Mobile potentially collects a fee from every carrier on the planet to fill in their dead zones, even at just a few dollars a month per user through carrier partnerships with hundreds of millions of connected devices by 2035. This is a $10 to $30 billion a year business on top of broadband, and the satellite infrastructure is already built. Mobile just rides on top of it. All right, now let's talk about the segment that could end up being the single biggest piece of this entire empire, bigger than Starlink, bigger than everything else combined. In February, SpaceX merged with xAI, Elon's artificial intelligence company, in the largest merger in history with a combined value of $1.25 trillion. Now, some people call this a bailout because xAI is currently losing billions. And if you're bearish on AI, I get it. But we're building the bull case today, guys. And the bull case for AI isn't theoretical anymore. It's already playing out, at least at xAI's competitors. Let me show you something. Anthropic, the company behind Claude, just reported the revenue trajectory. 0 to 100 million in 2023, 100 million to a billion in 2024, a billion to about 10 billion in 2025. As of early 2026, they're at $14 billion annualized. That's 10x growth every single year for 3 straight years. And here's the quote that stopped me cold. Anthropic's CEO, Dario Amodei, said, and these are his words, quote, "It's hard for me to see that there won't be trillions of dollars in revenue before 2030. Trillions with a T. And he said if Anthropic's own 10x growth rate continues, revenue at his company alone could top $1 trillion within a year. Now guys, I'm making another video similar to this one on how big Anthropic can be. So if you like these styles of videos, if they're entertaining and you get value out of them, do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. I know it sucks to ask for it, but it really, really helps with this new channel to get it out to more viewers so I can make bigger and better videos for you guys. So let's think about what that means for xAI. Anthropic is on a path to potentially $1 trillion a year. And all they have is a great AI model and an API. That's it. No distribution platforms, no custom chips, no rocket ships. xAI has everything Anthropic has, plus things Anthropic can only dream about. Over 550 million users on X as a built-in distribution channel. Tesla's custom AI chips that cost a fraction of NVIDIA's hardware. MACROHARD, which we will talk about in a minute, as an enterprise product that can automate entire companies. And the thing nobody else on Earth can replicate, SpaceX's rockets and satellite infrastructure for orbital data centers. Every AI lab is fighting over the same bottleneck, electricity. They need insane amounts of power, and they're running into the limits of the grid. Elon's solution, skip the grid, put the computers in space, and you've got unlimited solar power. Free cooling, no permits. SpaceX has filed to launch up to 1 million satellites for this. Can you imagine? And if you're thinking, that sounds like a nice idea, but where are the chips coming from? Well, last month, Elon announced Terafab, a $25 billion chip factory being built jointly by Tesla, SpaceX, and xAI in Austin, Texas. Vertically integrated, design fabrication, memory, packaging, testing, all under one roof. That doesn't exist anywhere else on the planet. It's targeting 2 nanometer chips, most advanced process in production. And recently, Intel officially joined as a partner. 80% of Terafab's output is earmarked for space. These are custom processors designed specifically for orbital AI satellites. This is not a PowerPoint. They're literally building the factory. So here's how I see it. If Anthropic, with just a model and an API, is on a trajectory toward $1 trillion a year, and if the broader AI market is heading into the trillions by 2030, then XAI, with all of its advantages, doing 300 to 500 billion by 2035, isn't a fantasy. That's saying XAI becomes top 2 or top 3 AI lab, not even number 1 necessarily, in a market where the leaders are doing $1 trillion plus. And honestly, if Elon does what he's done in every other industry, show up, learn fast, build infrastructure nobody else can, and win, even 500 billion might be conservative. Be honest, back when Elon acquired Twitter, how many of you guys actually wrote off X as anything that would be meaningful investments? I did too initially, but picture this, it's 2030. You wake up, open one app, you check the news, you message your team, you pay for your rent, you check your investments, you tip a creator whose video you liked, you buy concert tickets, you never leave the app. That's the vision. As of just a month or so ago, it's not a vision anymore. X Money, their payments platform, is going into public early access as we speak. There's a Visa partnership, licensed in over 40 states. Beta testers are already showing an all-black X debit card, instant transfers between users, cash back, and about 6% interest on money you keep in the wallet. Guys, if you want to see a full video about X Money and what I believe is happening over there, I'll put a link to it down in the description below. It's on my other channel. Now, the benchmark here is WeChat in China, which does exactly this: social media, messaging, payments, mini apps, all in one. WeChat generated over $60 billion in revenue in 2024. X has over 550 million users globally. If X Money gets real traction, if trading tools launch, if creator payments take off, 10 to 40 billion in yearly revenue by 2035 is on the table. All right, now let's talk about MACROHARD for a second, or the digital optimist, because this one cracks me up. As you know, or you may not know, it's a pun on Microsoft, right? It's the actual opposite, because he wants to disrupt and redefine the way software works by building these digital optimists. Just recently, Elon announced something that most people missed, and it's a huge part of why I'm so confident in the XAI number we just talked about. Because this is how XAI actually makes money in the real world. It's called MACROHARD. Like I said, a deliberate shot at Bill Gates, but the production and the product is dead serious. And here's what it does. Imagine you hire an employee. They sit down at a computer, watch the screen, learn how things work, and start doing the job. MACROHARD does that, except it's AI. Grok decides what needs to happen. A Tesla-built agent watches a screen in real time and does the work, moves the mouse, types, clicks buttons, etc. Think about it like OpenClaw, but way more sophisticated, way more polished, and actually gets things done. You don't have to be like a super genius to figure it out. And it never sleeps, it never eats. It's faster than you can ever imagine or any human. Elon says it can emulate the function of an entire company, not tasks, but companies. It runs on Tesla's AI chip, which costs about $650, and it'll work in every new Tesla as well. Your car doing office work while you eat dinner, plus millions of units at supercharger stations with 7 gigawatts of power. Now, here's why this matters. Anthropic just launched something similar. You guys might be using it. I use it every day, Claude Cowork. And it spooked the market so badly that it wiped nearly $300 billion off software company valuations in a single day. The agentic AI market, software that can do entire jobs on its own, is projected to hit $200 to $450 billion by 2035. But we know that the number is probably very conservative. It's probably going to happen way sooner than that, in my opinion. But this is the same playbook that Anthropic is running. Build the smartest model, then put it to work inside every business on Earth. Grok is XAI's model. MACROHARD is how it gets deployed. It's the enterprise distribution layer, and it's a huge part of how XAI gets to the revenue numbers we talked about just a few minutes ago. By 2035, or even sooner, a 10-person startup with the output of a 500-person company. That's not incremental. That's a complete reshaping of how the economy works. All right, now let's talk about the thing that SpaceX is already famous for, the rockets. Last year, 9 out of every 10 kilograms that went into orbit rode a SpaceX rocket. They have nearly $6 billion in Pentagon contracts. They're the backbone of NASA's return to the moon. And Falcon 9 might be the most reliable machine humans have ever built. But Starship is where the future really lives. This thing is the size of a gigantic skyscraper, fully reusable. It can carry 150 tons to orbit. And if SpaceX hits their cost targets, it's under $10 million per launch, and I think it's about $10 per kilogram to actually launch things into space. It becomes the cheapest way to move anything off this planet. Every satellite, every moon mission, every space station, every cargo delivery. It all rides on Starship. And here's a fun one, point-to-point travel. You get on Starship in New York. 30 minutes later, you step off in Tokyo. The Air Force is already testing cargo delivery versions. Think about that for a second. Passenger flights are probably a decade out, but flying anywhere on Earth in under an hour using the same rocket that goes to the moon, that's the world Starship creates, and one that I'm incredibly excited for. If you guys watch me at all on my other channel, Kyle Chasse Crypto, then you'll know that I'm incredibly bullish on the innovation in passenger travel. We've been traveling at the same 550 miles per hour since planes were basically invented. Like, what is going on? And I think we're gonna get supersonic space travel, but that supersonic space travel is a step up from what we're doing now, and then Starship Earth travel is a giant step up even from that. You take cross-globe travel from 4 or 5 hours on something like a Concorde to 30 minutes on a Starship. And that's less than a decade away. Now here's what most people don't realize about the size of this market. The global space launch industry is projected to hit $70 to $90 billion by 2035. And SpaceX currently owns 90% of it. Even if competition chips that down to 60 or 70%, you're looking at $40 to $60 billion just in commercial launch revenue. Stack government and military contracts on top, Pentagon, Space Force, Artemis, national security launches, and you add another 15 to 20 billion bucks on top of that. This is $50 to $80 billion a year of business by 2035. And it's the most proven, most defensible part of this entire empire. Now we've got one more segment, and this is where it goes from big to almost incomprehensible. In February, Elon announced that SpaceX is now prioritizing the moon over Mars. His quote, "The overriding priority is securing the future of civilization, and the moon is faster. The plan is a self-growing city on the moon within the next decade, not a base or a research station, a city that builds itself, expands itself, sustains itself, and Mars starts in 5 to 7 years running in parallel." The reasoning is surprisingly practical. You can launch to the moon every 10 days. It's a 2-day trip. Mars, you can only go when the planets align every 26 months, and it's a 6-month trip. You can iterate on moon infrastructure roughly 100 times faster. Here's what a lot of people don't know. These aren't just science projects right now. They're making markets. PwC, one of the big consulting firms, projects the lunar economy at $170 billion by 2040. Bank of America and Deloitte have similar estimates at over $100 billion. And SpaceX just became the only company on Earth with a rocket capable of building a city there. They own the transportation. They'll likely provide the communications, Starlink on the moon, the power systems, the construction logistics. In a $170 billion lunar economy, SpaceX could realistically capture a third to half of it as the dominant infrastructure provider. Then there's the orbital data centers, selling compute infrastructure in space to other companies. Not just XAI, space-based solar power, projected at $10 to $15 billion by 2035, but potentially much more if Starship makes the economics work. Point-to-point cargo delivery for the military, and eventually Mars infrastructure. building the transportation and life support systems for the first human settlements on another planet. And this is where I want to zoom out, because a few months ago, Peter Diamandis sat down with Elon and asked him how big all of this could actually get. And Elon didn't answer in dollars. He answered in something called the Kardashev scale. This is a framework physicists use to measure how advanced a civilization is based on how much energy it can harness.
Trying to capture, I don't know, a millionth of it, like a millionth, a thousandth of the sun's energy. We're currently, I'm not sure the exact number, but we're probably at 1%-ish of Kardashev level 1.
1% of level 1. We're using about 1% of the energy available to us just on this planet. And Elon casually starts talking about capturing a millionth of the sun's total output, which would be 1,000 times more energy than Earth could ever produce. That's where orbital data centers come from. That's where space-based solar comes from. That's why a million satellite FCC application exists. He's not building a company. He's building the infrastructure for the next stage of human civilizations. At the Abundance Summit, just a few weeks ago, Diamandis called the SpaceX xAI merger humanity's first Dyson cloud. And Elon said it's beyond abundance, beyond what people possibly could think of as abundance.
Beyond abundance beyond what people possibly could think of as abundance.
Analysts project these frontier markets, the moon, orbital infrastructure, space-based solar, Mars, at anywhere from around 100 billion to a quarter trillion in annual revenue by late 2030. I'm not going to put that on the counter, but I want you to hold that number in the back of your mind, because none of it is in the math we're about to do. It's all upside on top of everything else. All right, let's bring this home. Here's the 2035 revenue picture we've built, business by business. Starlink broadband, 50 to 100 billion. Starlink mobile, 10 to 30 billion. xAI, including Grok, MACROHARD, and Orbital compute, 3 to 500 billion. X and X money, 10 to 40 billion. Launch and government, 50 to 80 billion. So again, this is the bull case video, and the bull case total, roughly $750 billion a year in revenue. And remember, the frontier section we just talked about, the lunar economy, Mars, space-based solar, point-to-point travel, analysts project another $100 to $250 billion a year on top of this, and none of that is in this number. Now, I know what you're thinking. 3 to 500 billion for xAI? Let me remind you what we just walked through. Anthropic is at $14 billion a year and growing 10x a year. Their CEO publicly said a single AI lab could reach $1 trillion in revenue. The agentic AI market alone, the MACROHARD category, is projected at 2 to 450 billion a year by 2035. And xAI has distribution, custom chips, and orbital infrastructure that nobody else has. 3 to 500 billion is saying xAI becomes a top 2 or top 3 lab in the market that's heading to trillions. That's not a fantasy. That's what Elon literally always does. He's here to win. He also has the most compute, a war chest of capital, and can easily go out and raise whatever he wants from anybody. So how do we turn revenue into valuation? Well, let's explain it quickly. When a company is growing fast, investors pay a premium. They're buying the growth that's coming, not just today's revenue. As the company gets bigger, that premium naturally compresses. But if revenue grows faster than the premium shrinks, the value goes up. That's how Amazon traded at over 100 times revenue, and the stock still went up 20x. So the question is, what premium does SpaceX deserve in 2035? Well, here's the best comparison that we actually have. NVIDIA, which I mentioned at the top of this video, does about $216 billion a year in revenue, growing at 65%. And the market values it at $4.7 trillion. That's about 22 times revenue. Anthropic is valued at 38 on just 14 billion, 27 times, and they're not even profitable yet. That's what the market pays for dominant high-growth technology platforms. Now, with SpaceX in 2035 doing $750 billion in revenue across 5 completely different businesses, still growing 40 to 50% because half of them barely exist today, would it deserve a similar premium? And I think this is where most analysts get it wrong. Everyone assumes growth slows as a company gets bigger. And for most companies, that's true. But what we've seen from Elon's companies, they don't work that way. SpaceX has been around for over 20 years. Has it gotten slower? No, it started as a launch company, one product, then Starlink broadband, then enterprise, ships, planes, governments, then Starlink mobile. Then it absorbed a social media platform, then an AI company, then payments, then MACROHARD, and more. More growth factors today than at any point in history. And here's the pattern. Every piece of infrastructure becomes a platform for the next thing. The satellite networks enabled mobile. The launch system enables orbital data centers. The AI chips enable MACROHARD. Each new product rides on the last one. So the cost keeps dropping while the total market keeps expanding. Tesla, same story. Started making cars. Now it builds robots, custom chips, energy storage, solar-powered roofs, battery packs, and AI agents. More revenue streams today than 5 years ago at a fraction of the size. So if SpaceX in 2035 is doing $750 billion in revenue a year, still growing at 40-50% with the most diversified product portfolio of any company on the planet, 25 to 30 times revenue isn't aggressive. NVIDIA gets 22 times right now. Anthropic gets 27 with one product. SpaceX would own the infrastructure layer of civilization across connectivity, AI, payments, software, space, and defense. So 750 billion at 25 times comes out to $18.7 trillion. At 30 times, which is still above where NVIDIA trades, but below where Anthropic trades right now, that's $22.5 trillion. At the top of this video, I told you the 4 most valuable companies on Earth, NVIDIA, Apple, Google, and Microsoft, are worth a combined $15 trillion. This number blows past all 4 combined, and it doesn't include the $100 to $250 billion in frontier revenue, the Moon City, Mars, orbital infrastructure, space-based solar. The analysts are projecting on top. If you layer that in at the same multiple, you're adding another $2.5 to $7.5 trillion, which puts you somewhere north of $20 to $30 trillion. 20 years of track record, competitors in AI already growing 10x a year, a satellite network covering the entire planet, 5G in every phone on Earth, an everything app with 500 million users, their goal to grow to 1 billion soon, AI agents that can replace entire companies, rockets that land themselves, a city on the moon, and eventually a presence on Mars. One company, bigger than NVIDIA, Apple, Google, and Microsoft combined. That's not a dream, guys. That is the math. Now, here's something that just came out a couple weeks ago, and I think it ties this whole thing together perfectly. SpaceX filed their IPO registration with the SEC and buried it in Elon's compensation package. His salary? Well, get this, it's a whopping $54,000 a year. He's been making that since 2019. But here's the real pay structure. He gets 200 million super voting shares, worth potentially hundreds of billions if SpaceX hits 2 targets. Target 1, a $7.5 trillion market cap. Target 2, a permanent human colony on Mars with at least 1 million people. And there's a second tranche tied to operating orbital data centers producing 100 terawatts of compute, which is massive. If he doesn't hit those targets, he gets nothing, 0. Now think about what that means. I mean, other than what he already has. But think about what that means. We just built a bull case that put SpaceX at $18 to $22 trillion. And the company's own board set the ambitious target at $7.5 trillion. Our number is way more than double what his compensation committee thinks is a stretch goal. Either they're being conservative or we're being very, very aggressive. I'll let you guys decide in the comments below. Let me know what you think. But here's my question for you. 1 million people on Mars, data centers in orbit producing 100 terawatts, a $7.5 trillion company. Do you think he gets there? Drop your answers in the comments. I genuinely want to know what you guys think. So what does this mean if you're thinking about buying the stock? At an IPO price of $1.75 trillion, if the bull case plays out, the core businesses alone put you at a 10 to 13x return over a decade. That's roughly 26 to 29% annualized. The S&P 500 averages about 10. This would almost triple that. And with the frontier bets, you could be looking at 12 to 17x on what could become the most valuable company in the history of the world by a wide margin. Now, this is the bull case. I want to be completely clear. We're betting on Elon executing across 5 massive businesses at once, and on AI scaling the way the biggest players in the space are currently projecting. If XAI stumbles, if Starlink Mobile doesn't scale, if X money doesn't catch on, the numbers come way down. But look at the track record. Look at what this guy has done over and over in rockets, in electric vehicles, in satellite internet, in AI compute. He shows up, he builds, and more often than not, he wins. If he does it again, this could be the single greatest wealth creation event any of us will ever see. Here's what I keep coming back to, guys. We're used to buying companies where the story is mostly written. Apple sells phones, Google sells ads, you know what you're getting. SpaceX is asking you to buy 6 or 7 different futures at once, most of which haven't even happened yet. That's either the opportunity of a generation or the most expensive bet you'll ever make. But here's what I know for sure. Whether or not you buy the stock, the world we just described is coming. Every phone with a signal everywhere. AI agents running whole businesses. Cities on the moon and Mars. A new financial system inside your social media app. All of it being built right now by one company. That's what we covered, guys, here at the Chasse Report. The forces shaping what comes next while they're still forming, so you can understand them and think about them for yourself. If this is your first time here, guys, do me a favor. It really helps the channel. It helps this new channel grow so more people can see it. It would mean the world to me. Costs you nothing. I hate to ask for it, but it really does help, and I would appreciate it so much. So guys, subscribe if you can, if you're not already. And guys, that's gonna wrap it up today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Until next time, I'm Kyle Chasse. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys on the next one.